I saw an article about a mom living in a haunted house, and she reaches out to the previous owner, gets eerie response report, and this is in your neck of the woods, so I think it'd be interesting for, it's just a paragraph. Let me read it, then I want you to comment on it. A woman living in a haunted 1920s New Mexico home says her cat and son see a haunting presence. Renee Valdez said her son told her about a man that I see in my room with an old hat that peeks in from the bathroom. She told Inside Edition. Valdez reportedly spoke to the previous owner on Facebook, who said, "Oh, I've been expecting you." She's like my son. She's like my son sees a man with a hat, and her son described what our son sees. So that was weird and scared the C out of me. Valdez told Inside Edition. Valdez described the list of unusual noises and unexplained stuff that she and her girlfriend hear daily. There is an unconnected doorbell that violently dings at night, a basement camera that caught the chairs sliding across the floor, and an Alexa device alerting them about calls ringing from inside the house, she said. However, what freaks her out is her pets' responses. The pets have the most reaction, said Valdez, who specifically mentioned her gray cat, Ruth. Ruth sees things in the bedroom constantly. I mean, they interrupt her. It follows her. It moves around. Valdez told Inside Edition, I mean, she's always seen it, and it freaks me out. I don't like her reactions because her ears go back. She's definitely following something that's up there. Valdez, her girlfriend, her son, and the pets still live in the house and plan to stay there with their shadowy roommate. I feel like I'm in its space more than it's in mine, or that it's in mine in a way. Valdez said, whatever it is here before us. They're not bothering us, so I'm going to let it go. I kind of love him, she said, like in his own way. He's like the icing on the cake of the creepy 1920s house that I bought. Well, the first thing I have to say is, just from reading the article, these guys are living in fornication. So they're living in mortal sin, which attracts evil spirits. It makes yourself vulnerable to diabolical attacks. Dan, this is in your neck of the woods. People talk about haunted houses. We call them diabolical infestation. There's two types of presences could be in a house, correct? There can be a demonic presence, or there could be a wandering spirit, or what do they call them? Correct me. There you go. Yeah.
So you could have two types of presences. You could have an infestation of place by a diabolic force, or you could have a purgative soul who goes there. Just if purgative souls are extremely rare, and if they're allowed to go by God's providence, it's there to ask for prayer. Normally, there's a place where some kind of grave sin took place. And so they need the help of the prayers of the mystical body to pray for them as they're suffering for those sins in purgatory. So there'll be a distinct difference between infestation and a purgative soul. Again, even St. Charles Borromeo in the rite, the prenantundra, the preamble to the rite of exorcism says if a spirit shows up claiming to be a disembodied soul or purgative soul, he said, ignore it. It's most likely a trap or a lie. So chances are this is something diabolic. Normally you can tell by the trigger. It gets better with prayer when you have if it's a purgative soul, as you pray or have mass sent at location or for the location. If you pray the rosary, the little office for the dead can be prayed there. It's very effective. But normally it's not that way. It's more, if it's a diabolic force, it's going to be destructive. It's not going to respond to prayer. It's going to get worse with prayer. And so in a case like this, it sounds to me like it's sounds like two women raising this child, and the child sees it and the cat sees it. But they're cool with it. So what you have in this particular case is probably a case of infestation. It was certainly there beforehand, according to the previous owner. This is why many states in real estate that has to be declared before someone sells a house. It's now legal in some states to sell a house that that there might be something else present there. And so for some reason, there's a demon there, some evil took place there. And so the demon's claiming the territory. And the fact that they're not trying to get it out, that they're cool with it, just shows that the compatibility with it the demon's going to continue to stay there and continue to molest and haunt and harass them and take every advantage of the permission that they're given there, because the demon has no right to be there. He's going to claim a right, but by natural law, the homeowner has the right to that place. And so if the homeowner says, yeah, the demon can stay, well, guess what? He's going to be bringing his buddies in most likely very soon.
Wow. Dan, I forget the priest's name, but there was a priest here in the Diocese of Phoenix. He just passed away a couple of years ago, but he was, I'm trying to remember his name right now. They called him the Purgatory priest. He apparently he was visited very often. And this was under Bishop Olmsted. Everybody in the diocese, he had this, I guess this ability, or just souls from purgatory would come and ask him to do masses for him. He even came out on EWTN several times. I think Mother Angelica interviewed him, and he just says, yeah, I don't ask for it. They just come and visit me, and I do a mass for them, and they never come back. So yeah, here in Phoenix, there was this one priest that was very he was known for that, and he was very unassuming. He wasn't out there, trying to get fanfare and trying to do interviews. He was very quiet and unassuming, just a holy parish priest that pretty much all the priests in the diocese knew. Yeah, that priest gets visited by souls in purgatory, and they ask him to do masses, and he does requiem masses, and they leave. They don't come back to the houses. So
having masses said is very critical we've lost that in the modern church. When someone dies, we automatically canonize them, or we give them a physiological and ontological impossibility. We make them an angel. Grandma now is my angel watching over me. That is simply not true. And there's a very good chance, as holy as the person was, they still need our prayers, until they're declared a saint by the Roman Catholic Church in right authority of the church. We need to continue to say have masses said for them and pray for them. Think about the origins of the Gregorian Mass. And if you remember the origins, I've heard you speak on it at a conference as well. And in those origins, the monk that was suffering and asking for intercessory prayer wasn't because he was an evil monk. It's just because when they built the new monastery, he hooked himself up with a couple extra niceties for his particular cell. And that's why he was suffering in purgatory, asking for prayers. And so the souls in purgatory are suffering until every last farthing is paid, so to speak, from Scripture. And so it's laudable, it's laudatory for us to pray for the souls in purgatory on a regular basis, as someday we're going to be there, hopefully. And we will be asking for help for our own suffering as well. If you really think, you Catholics say, I just kind of hope I can make it into purgatory, you need to read Hungry Souls. Have you read that book, Jess, Hungry Souls?
Yes. I interviewed the author too. Yeah.
That'll scare the hell out of you, literally. I mean, that book will make you realize that purgatory is quite the torment, according to St. Thomas. The two pains, the pain of sense and the pain of loss, are experienced there to a deep degree, and largely because we cannot, we do not have the filter of the body to offer, so we're just passively suffering in purgatory. And so praying for the souls in purgatory is very important, but also not accepting given permissions, thinking it's cute. We're living in this time where Halloween is now the weirdest time of the year. I hate this month now because everywhere you go, it's just Freddy Krueger and Scream and all this other horrible stuff. You see otherwise normal Catholics or Christians, and they decorate their backyard with, some of the most macabre images that you could possibly get. We've become obsessed with death. We kind of laugh off death, and we actually immortalize death, and we make it something that is something good, and that we shouldn't be afraid of. And you shouldn't be afraid of death if you're in a state of grace and you love Jesus and you're living your life for Jesus. You shouldn't be afraid of death. But to mock death and to embrace it in this macabre, dark way, it's kind of a sign of the sickness in our own culture, that our obsession with Halloween and ghosts and these other things.
Yeah, you're right, Dan. And Halloween should be a time when we try to evangelize even more, because I can tell you, Satanists, they claim that day for their own. It's in their own calendar, October 31st. You got Satanists and witches. They claim that as one of their high holy days.
Absolutely.
You're listening to Wednesday War College. Jess Romero, Dan Schneider. We're going to talk about women being ordained as deacons. Are you kidding me? Let's talk about that.